Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today is a marvelous Monday. It's a mighty Monday. And my buddy I am is going to join us. And he has an idea that he may have just cracked the code. He may have just found the greatest theft in American history. So we're going to hear about that and some solutions out of it right after this. So give us a like and share the video. Welcome back. I am good to have you.
Good to be here. Good to be here. We missed last Monday.
I know. I apologize. We were
a big storm.
Yeah, we're moving. We're trying to we're slowly willing ourselves to be living in Arkansas, and so we were moving a bunch of furniture for the business, and had a couple really big sales. That was exciting, but things are we're putting our energy into it, and it's really all coming together. So
good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, it was a big Texas storm, and it knocked out our power and internet and all that good stuff. And
I forgot. That's right. You had a huge storm with no power. And who else got affected by that?
I don't know.
Maybe Sean.
Maybe
Sean. Yeah. I kind of think you guys are close.
But yeah, it was pretty crazy last Monday. So unfortunately, we were unable to do it. But we're here. We're here now.
We made it. So unpack this or present this. Give us a little preview of kind of what you have planned for us today.
So I was digging into what spurred the idea was what has been the greatest heist in America? What was the biggest bank robbery or this kind of thing? And I'm reading through different ones and thinking, oh wow, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And well, this person got caught or this group got caught. And then it hit me. No, there's one on this list that they're not talking about. And I know the perpetrators, these criminals, are gotten away with it and they're still out there. And I start thinking, wow, this is something to talk about these criminals, these thieves that have gotten away with unbelievable theft in America. And so I wanted to kind of share it with us and with everybody here that's watching.
I love it.
So I got something on my screen here. Do you?
Oh yeah.
Let me share my screen. There we go.
Present.
Let me zoom in here. So it's taking it up a little bit better. The greatest theft in American history. This is a bank robbery in place, right? And then you got the presidents, Nixon and Carter and Reagan and LBJ, the bank theft. But what I'm going to talk about is even bigger than this. And imagine, here, we're going to use a metaphor real quick to explain it.
Okay.
This thievery, this crime has happened for generations. And these criminals have taught the next generation how to do it, how to perpetrate the crime. And it's continued on and on and on, and they've reinvested their loot that they received from this theft into other things to perpetrate it and continue it. And remember, I'm looking at the largest bank robberies in history in America, and this is led me to this is one that they haven't caught.
Everyone's thinking what? Bonnie and Clyde? Well, that wasn't probably one of the biggest.
Yes. And going way back to Jesse James and all these different things, and the Pinkertons.
What about that one guy that jumped from an airplane? That wasn't a bank heist.
Oh, D.B. Cooper.
Yeah,
jumped from an airplane, and they found some of the bills, but supposedly never found him. Who knows if he made it or not?
Who knows?
So anyway, imagine that. Because this theft has been taking place, they stole from our great-grandparents, our grandparents, our parents, you and I, our kids. Some of us have grandkids they're actually stealing from now.
Right.
And imagine this. Okay, we all have a bank account, we have a savings account, and in the dead of night, these criminals go in and like we have passwords to our bank account, and the bank does as well, and that's it, right? But these criminals have figured out a way to just minutely in the middle of the night take out a little bit from checking, a little bit from savings, wherever. But they're doing it on charities. They're stealing from mom and pop businesses. They're stealing from big corporations as well. A little bit at a time in the dead of night, every little click. And we barely even notice it. And now they figured out another way to steal. And that was, imagine if okay, in the department store, imagine if the pricing was all electronic. And they could go in the middle of the night, like at Walmart or Target, or they could go into the Starbucks or the coffee shop or the little restaurant down the street or wherever. And they could digitally change that price. And when they increased the price, the little difference went into their pocket and didn't go into the owner's pocket. Now, what I just described is inflation. And people always talk, oh, inflation. I know it's a killer. It's a killer. And well, and a lot of people think it's natural. It's just, it naturally happens.
But it's the cruelest form of tax.
Yes, it's a hidden tax. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to dive deeper into this tax or this inflation, this word inflation. Now there's artificial, and then there's, natural inflation based off of scarcity, right? Let's say you and I, we like coffee and everybody else likes coffee, and then coffee becomes the in thing and everybody's drinking coffee all day long. And so there's not enough coffee beans to go around to make enough coffee for everybody. So it's a lot of people who want coffee, and it's like an auction, like on eBay. Everyone's, well, I'll pay $10 for a cup of coffee. Well, I'll pay $20 for a half a cup of coffee. So that's the inflation, right? The price of coffee, because more people want coffee, and there's more money chasing less coffee. That's law of supply and demand. That's natural.
That's a free market, though, right?
Yeah,
that's
free market.
Like what I would think of inflation. I guess it's inflation in a healthy way.
Yeah. So I'm going to have my tea.
Okay.
So anyway, so we have naturally occurring markets that naturally create, inflation by demand. But then there's the artificial one. And the artificial is where I'm talking about, is this greatest bank theft. And this is where we're going to go. We're going to go dig into this a little bit about these. Literally, they're bank robbers is what they are. And they've been stealing from our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our parents, you and I, and it's been going on. And I just gave you the metaphor, all right? Like the price change. At the dead of night, they can change the price, and every time they increase the price, that goes into their pockets. It's a hidden theft. It's a hidden tax.
Yes.
So I wanted to look at some big numbers, what these banksters are doing. How are they wrecking society? And look at this. I want you to remember this number right here, $3,300. And this other number, we'll just call it $37,000. Okay? This is insane. It's going to blow your mind. So in 1950, the average income was $3,300 in America. $3,300 a year in America in 1950. Because I wanted to go way back. I wanted to capture our grandparents and whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
And today, the average income is $37,000. See how you shrink it. Because that $37,000 doesn't equal $3,300. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So the average household income was $3,300 in 1950, but today it's really $74,000, not the $37,000. Or is it? And here's what I discovered, Lisa.
Okay. Help me unpack this.
Talking about the huge theft. In 1950, the average income earner or breadwinner in a home was one person.
Oh, that's true.
Some statistics say it was 97% of the homes in America had one income earner or one breadwinner in that home.
Mm-hmm.
Others say it was 97, 93%, whatever it is. In 2023, it was between 75 and 77% of households had two income earners. So the 3,300 versus 74,000 isn't accurate because that 74,000 is two people on average.
Wow.
So you see where the theft is greater than just the money, because that changed the whole family dynamic, right?
Hmm.
It changed our society. That's how deep this cut of inflation has gone throughout America. It's changed
It's
us
changed our
dramatically.
culture. Yeah,
Big time,
that's significant because mothers went to work, the
right?
government was raising your children, all of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Daycare became a thing,
Mhm.
you know? But now I gotta say this in the beginning here. I'm not trying to say anything about, well, women should stay home. Their place at home, it should be cooking the
No,
meals for the
families can
husband.
make whatever decision is best for their family, but
Being right.
ideally, if you have a child at home, it would be great for a family member to be raising that child.
That's right. That's right. So that's one thing. So remember that 37,000 average income, that's really just one person. And at $3,300, you could buy a car maybe every other year. You could buy a home, you know, like example, in 1950, the milkman, he would deliver milk to your doorstep. Call that the Amazon delivery driver, okay? In today's world. The Amazon delivery driver, just one income delivering packages every day, will not pay for a family of 3 or 4 or 5, and not buy a house and a car with just one person delivering packages from Amazon. I don't think that's even possible anywhere in America.
No, you're
But in
completely correct.
1950, one person
Go
could.
ahead. Yeah, there was a documentary that I was watching calling it like the new poor or the new broke worker, or it was like working, not, it was like employed homeless kind of thing. And they had
Mhm.
2 and 3 jobs because of
Right.
the way the inflation is right now. So they can have all these they have to have multiple minimum wage jobs. So they work,
Yes.
2 and 3 jobs in a period of 7 days a week,
Right.
just to try to
Right.
help their family.
And wow, it's like you read my mind, because look at this next slide. So here is the average hours worked. In 1950, the one bread earner in that home worked an average of 48 hours a week. Now, there
Mhm.
wasn't laws about overtime and different laws and this kind of thing, paid sick days or paid vacations, anything like that, depending on where you worked. But the average worker worked 48 hours in 1950. In 2023, our government says that the average worker only works 34.5 hours a week. And I call it BS, because they're making up the difference by maybe some kind of gig economy,
Yes.
DoorDash or whatever. Or maybe they got two part-time jobs.
Yes.
So, like you were just saying, Lisa, and if 72% of the households in 2023 were dual income, all right, that means the total average hours worked is now more like 70. But I think it's even more than that, because I don't believe that first one of 34.5, right?
Mhm.
Because of the gig economy. So it's 70 hours a week. Who's raising the children? Obviously, right?
Mhm.
See, that's where I'm talking about that theft. That theft has driven us to a dual income households. It's more than just inflation. It's a change in our society.
In the
So if we
culture
come,
of America.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go further into this real quick. Let's look at some historical prices. Gallon of milk, 1950, 82 cents. Now, in some places it was a lot less, other places it's more. That's up 363%. Well, you can say, well, wages have kept up with that. 363%. We've kept up with that. You know, but gasoline has gone from 27 cents on average to 358 on average. That's 1,200%. Now we're talking, his wages really keeping up with that. And I don't even believe that 27 cents, because I remember as a kid, it was kind of like the Happy Meal thing. My parents going to their favorite gas station, they'd wash our windows, pump our gas, and I'd get a toy, and they pay like 15-20 cents a gallon or something.
Oh my God.
And I get a little toy.
Yeah.
So to get us to come back.
Wow.
But look at this on average houses. A house went from 7,300 in 1950 to 417,000. That's a 55,000% increase.
Wow.
But then I said, oh, well, come on, William, that's just can't be. Well, true. The average size of our house has gone to 2,600 square feet versus, say, 900 or 1,200 in 1950. So we've more than doubled the size of our homes, and we have less children. Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the cost of materials was like $14 per square foot versus $145 per square foot on average in the US now.
Yep.
So it's not quite apples and oranges, but really is a 3-person family going to live in a 983 square foot home and that be the average in America right now? I don't think so. Now look at the cost of cars. Now remember, now we have 2 people working, so we got to double the number, right? Or at least 70% of it. So if only in 1950, most household earners could walk to work. So there was only 0.3 cars per household in 1950.
Really?
Yes, I was shocked. That changed quickly. But now in 2023, the average car was $45,000.
Oh,
right?
I think that's low.
Yeah, that's low.
I'm
Now, in 1950, it was $1,500.
wow.
And people would buy a car every other year, every 3 years or something like that. So they would buy new over and over and over, and more frequently. So the cost of cars certainly has not, the cost of inflation on vehicles. Now, granted, we're getting a much better car. We're getting all this other technology, yada, yada, yada. There's less steel. There's more plastic, more aluminum, actually maybe more safer because we have seat belts and airbags and all these kinds of things. So it's, in a way, it's not apples to oranges. But you got to remember, though, 2 households mean 2 cars, two tanks to fill up, 2 oil changes, 2 sets of tires.
Yeah.
On and on and on and on. So that inflation on a vehicle is insane compared to what we are now. And of course, most people can't afford to buy a new car anymore. And the interest rates that we're dealing with right now make it really cost prohibitive. And but 2 cars per household is the norm because, mom and dad might work different hours, or different locations, and they can't share a car. So I took into consideration that, the percentage of change per decade and how many, see what that average car, I could go back and get that history. Average cars per household was 0.3 in 1950. 1960 was a half. In 1980, we were definitely at 1. And this is where we really changed in inflation in 70s and 80s really pushed 2 household earners.
Look how much it jumped from the 90s to the 2000s. The Y2K. Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So college education up 4,000%. God knows what they're putting out now. $1,800 versus $75,000 for a average 4-year college degree. Okay. Now that is insane because that was 42% in 1950 of your annual salary. Now it's 93% of your annual salary. So
That's
imagine
a way to look at it. Ratios of
yeah. Household, costs for health insurance, forget it. That's like insane. I didn't even go there.
Yeah. We don't even have any.
So gold and silver. Hey, we hedge it, right? This is how we survive. We buy more gold and silver to hedge against inflation. 1950, $34 an ounce versus 1900 the end of 2023 for gold. Silver, 30 cents an ounce in 1950 and $23 an ounce at the end of 2023 or thereabouts. So it's up 5,000 and 7,000%. And In 1960s to present, copper actually outperformed gold and silver. Ironic. From 1960.
Really?
Yeah. But if you go back to 1950s, then gold and silver outperforms.
Okay.
Shock. So is it really a hedge? Did it really keep up with inflation? Yes, it's definitely a hedge. But I would argue, because now it's two household earners, it really hasn't.
Wow.
It helped dramatically. But that's sad. That's a black pill moment.
That is, yeah, that's significant.
Mortgage rates 4.3%, now at 16.9 to end of 2023. It peaked at 13.7% on average in 1980. Can you imagine a 13%, 14% interest rate for your home?
No.
Property tax doubled 1% to 2.1% on the average in America. Homeowners insurance is up 900%, but it's weird because it was kind of a funky early market in 1950. I think the banks didn't require it in the 1950s. So here's what inflation, this is how they have really stolen from us. We're having less children.
Mm-hmm.
More and more people are having to work, and we've gone from the family size went from 3.5 to 3.0. Children per household's gone from 2.0 to 1.1. Mm-hmm. So our Federal Reserve has shrunk our families. That's my belief. And I think the numbers prove it.
Yeah.
So what a giant social impact. Now, here's the proof of the theft. Game over. Money supply, M1, M2. This is how fast you can move money or liquidate money. M2 is stocks and bonds. M1 is cash in the bank, right? It's how fast it can be moved. Well, they used to chart M3 money supply. Now they don't. They say, well, it's M2. So our money supply reporting by the government.
I'm sorry, what is M3?
M3, they called it even slower money to move. Big corporations in big assets like a factory, the value of a factory. To sell a factory would take years, right? Okay. And so it was big dollar amounts that would to be converted into cash. So they just rolled it into M2. They said, oh, well, those numbers are really in M2. And that changed in 2006. So scrolling down here, G.W. Bush and Bernanke changed how they reported the money supply. This is to hide the crime. I believe that the printing of money, money printers going burr, we really don't know. Mm-hmm. They started to hide that from us. And, there's no audit. There's no third-party audit that's going in to check their numbers of how fast they're printing money digitally or physically. So we have to take them for their word. Is that insane? We have to believe them that this is how much money they're printing. Oh, no. We're not really printing that much. And Crypto Nana's right. It's a depopulation move by the Federal Reserve. I firmly believe that. The proof is there, right there in the numbers. So we don't know really how much they're printing. So we don't know really how, and then they lie on how much the inflation is. And they say, oh, it's only 3.4%. Well, wait, time out. It's a cumulative number. It adds year after year. So kind of the big takeaways is our incomes certainly haven't kept up. And the impact on household and the stability of a household, I believe this is another reason for divorces, is because both parents working, there's the temptations out there, whatever you want to call it, the social norms have changed, the ethics and morals of society have changed dramatically, sadly, I would say for the worse. And we're all adults and we all make our choices and we live by them and we need to be held accountable. I still think, though, the Federal Reserve, the central banks, they're banksters, and they have some culpability here. Their theft, their evils of taxation, this evil taxation, hidden tax of inflation is artificial. It's evil and it's downright. Where we have to ask, where are we going? Is it going to take 4 or 5 incomes now to support a household? How is that going to work? Is that what divorce is? You really have 4 workers and maybe 2
Oh,
families are
wow.
sharing 2, 3 kids, and it's
Mhm.
4 workers for 2 kids, 3 kids. Is that
Wow.
really what it is?
I
It's
never thought of that.
economic pressure. Um, and what's it gonna is it gonna be down the road? Is it, oh, Johnny has 3 dads and 2 mommies
Mhm.
living in the same household, because it's going to take 5 household earners to equal the same. Is inflation going to continue down this road? We have to obviously scale back on our purchases. We're already doing it.
Well, and
So what is
we talk about silver and gold being a hedge, and you showed the numbers and have proven that it's not able to keep up with this greatest theft of America. But at the same time, a lot of that's because of the paper market, the derivative market, and them being able to manipulate that as well as manipulating the US dollar. So until and when we could have some kind of auditing system, like you're saying, or some truth in gold and silver prices,
right,
we are kind of left out from having a tool against this theft.
right, right. So solutions, boy, Clint Westwood is so articulate, and I'm at awe when I hear him talk, and he gets on that rant about don't feed the vampires,
Yeah.
extract yourself from the system. He's so right. If you you know if you starve it, it will wither and die. And that's what agorism is essentially, is just that. It's it's practicing counter economics. It's voting with your wallet. It's supporting businesses and people that think like you do, and expanding it that way, rather than and doing more barter and using crypto, and these kinds of things. It's extracting yourself from the system and building a parallel economy. So if it does collapse, then you have community in a parallel. You know where to get your eggs, or you know where to, who you can rely on and how they can rely on you and work as a community. Um, and that's really the solution, I feel, at this point, is more agorism. And thanks and salute, I salute you, Lisa, for giving me this platform to
Mm.
talk about agorism and being an agorist. And I don't get into the deep side of it, of the gray and black markets per se,
Right.
and the anarchy part of it, which I hate that word. Voluntarism, I believe, is much better. But really, that is our solution. We can turn this ship. We can do just this. We can. I'm going to scroll down if I can here. Whoops. In the Fed, that's they're not. We're not able to audit them. We don't know how much they're really printing, and
Yeah.
that's why people talk about ending the Fed. And
But that's
it's
where we have to
destroying
stop
America. It's
using
destroying our
them.
families.
Yes.
What's
Stop
that?
using them. Stop putting our energy into it. As we were talking on Spaces with Westwood Friday night or I think it was Friday night. And people were saying, but I have to engage in this system. I have to be a part of it. And I'm like, no, you don't. Make your money, your energy, whatever, and put your assets in your own possession, and hard assets and Litecoin, Bitcoin, Digibyte, gold, silver, whatever that is that you can hold in your own possession. And then, yes, I understand, like, there are certain things that you have to engage for your family. And maybe you need to reevaluate some of those too. But definitely the bartering, anything peer to peer is where we get our freedom back, because all of these should be private transactions between two individuals. We don't need a middleman involved in it.
So, if anything you get from this, I would like you to always know that most inflation is artificial. It's not about scarcity. And secondly, there's an alternative. We can end the Fed. We can use, agorism. And remember how evil they are. These banksters have been carrying on this great American heist for decades, for generations, and they have changed our society. That is a huge theft. Huge.
Yes.
You really can't put a price tag on
They
it.
robbed the American dream. They stole the culture of America through inflation, through theft. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for showing us that. I think it's a great example, and I think people can choose to educate themselves and find other options, build parallel, what do you call it? Parallel economies you talk about all the time, and all those things. I know we have been finding small businesses that we can support. And when we're in there, we try to meet with the owner and talk to them about, exchanging peer to peer. And I think that is
Good.
definitely one way out. So thank you. You're wonderful. We appreciate you so much.
So much, everybody.
Yeah, everybody in the
chat.
chat, please give us a like, share the video, and get more of this good news out there for everybody to be able to choose another future for America. Take care.
Yes. Thanks.